Okay, so I had some confusion about if the button was recording or not recording. So there's a whole section of the video, not really, a few seconds of the video that didn't get recorded, but they exist in some form. Well, it's Friday. It's Friday. It's a Friday where we're doing a mail call. Folks, I'm so sorry. It has been 4 weeks since we've done a mail call. It's not for any particular reason. It just kind of keeps happening that way. And, and also, I don't know if everybody, the more recent one was we went down to Casa Bonita on a Friday. Now, the reason some people might be saying is, why are you going to Casa Bonita in the middle of the day on a Friday? Well, the deal with Casa Bonita is you have to be on a giant wait list forever and ever and ever if you're lucky enough to even get on the wait list. And then you have to, once they make spaces available, you have to rush and hope that you can buy tickets in time, and whatever slot they give you, that's the slot you get, and you have to go if you want to go to Casa Bonita.
Right. People cancel, so I could get one, like a basic table wherever I pretty much wanted, whenever, not wherever. But if you want premium seating, then you have to be there when the tickets first drop.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true. I mean, there's enough of a thing with people trying to get to go to Casa Bonita. There's an entire subreddit just for exchanging Casa Bonita tickets, or if you're looking for a Casa Bonita ticket. Anyway, it's very exciting. Folks, it is Friday. It's Friday. It's going to be the last even slightly nice fall day here. It's going to become just nasty. Isn't that true?
I don't know. Now the weather's changed lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be nice over the weekend. Okay.
Ugh, Sebastian was so excited about it being terrible.
Oh, sorry, Sebastian.
Well, I was hoping that it was going to rain and snow so I didn't have to feel guilty about not making a foundation for the new shed that I keep refusing to build. It's been in the backyard unbuilt for so long that the box is starting to rip off of it in the weather. I have to go buy a tarp to cover it.
Yes.
Any case, let's get on with business. You guys are tired of hearing about this stuff. Let's do a wrist check. Sabrina is wearing a JDM 6139 6000. Actually, what is this model number? 7039 or something?
Should I take it off?
Yeah, why don't you tell me the, I'd be curious to know, because I don't remember the model number right off the top of my head. What is it?
I don't know. You have the camera.
It's not focusing. 8040? 6139 8040. Oh, okay. Cool. That's what that is. What do you like about this watch?
I like the colors.
It is pretty. Nice watch. I am wearing one of my perennial favorites. This one has been in my watch box for coming on 10 years, if not more than 10 years. My poor man's Hoyer, this Lejour 7500. I bought this off of the Reddit Watch Exchange sub, seriously, more than a decade ago. I think I paid $800 for it. They're worth a lot more now. This is a really nice one, though. I've serviced this watch twice in the years that I've owned it. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful watch. These were made entirely by Hoyer. So it's not even, Lejour is just the name that's on the dial. This is a Hoyer. Anyway, pretty cool. It has been nice. I actually did I've been able to drive Green Bean around, and it's been fun. Sabrina has been learning how to drive a stick. She actually has been in Green Bean a couple times driving.
Yes. I know Europeans that you guys just know because that's what you use, but I'm an American and we don't learn on those. So, yeah, it's a little confusing, but if I could go faster, I could probably figure it out, but every place is too short.
Right. We need to find some place with some place where you can go and not have to worry about running into anything. You're going to get it sooner than you think. It's not as hard as you think it is. Once you get the body memory down of, clutch, gas clutch, like doing this stuff, once you figure that out, the rest of it comes pretty soon. Pretty soon, you're going to be downshifting all on your own and using the engine to brake and all that great stuff, driving like a real pro.
Okay.
Sorry if that sounds condescending.
No, because I don't know how to do it. So.
Well, you will.
Okay. Did we do wrist check?
Yes, we just did wrist check.
Tired. KVW gets lunch at Casa Bonita. Biff Tannen BTTF. Holy hell, this is hilarious. I must go.
Save your pennies. Now the penny's been discontinued, but you know, it's one of those things. It's how do you? I mean, you have to go into it with a specific mindset, understanding kind of what you're gonna get. It is loud. It is frenetic. It's a crazy experience. It's not really a dining experience. They kind of, you have the table and they're like, you have the table for an hour. That's all you get. So you go in there and they're like, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, like our food came out within like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we put in the order and the food came out like right away. And they, you know, and they want you to sit at the table and stay at the table and eat your food and do your stuff before going and looking at all the other crap. And they do all this scheduling to make sure the tables are never backed up. And, you know, you should go, man. You should find some time and go, because then you can tell other people that you have been to Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita.
Mail call. Robert Lambert. Loving the hair, Sabrina. Thank you. This morning I woke up and it was sticking up and I looked like Robert Downey Jr. in the 80s.
It's true. She had this like this gorgeous art school girl, late 80s kind of hairdo, and it was very fitting.
Well, because of the video, I decided to change my hair.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. MGAN8H. Hi SNS, I'm tinkering with some 7A38 and 7A28 modules, and I guess if the circuits can be swapped. Once read that a 7A28 can reset when the chronograph is running, but the 7A38 can't. I read both manuals, and it says in the 7A28, in every stopwatch measurement, the stopwatch can be reset by depressing button C. And in the 7A38, after stop, the stopwatch can be reset by depressing button C. Can you help us with this?
The circuits are all the same. I've never run into a 7A28 having different functions than a 7A38 outside of the calendar. It has always been my understanding that the only difference between any of those things is the calendar, whether it's no date, day date, or moon phase. I've never made a distinction in any of those circuits. If I've had to, you know, replace a circuit or try to resurrect one or anything else like that, I've never made a distinction about one or the other. That said, now I'm curious about it. So I've never read that before. I'm going to have to get a 7A28 and a 7A38 up and running and see. No, I've never run into anyone that behaved any differently no matter when I was checking, because I always checked them the same way.
Well, then how come the booklet or whatever manual says what it says?
Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Maybe it was a translation issue. All I know is that I test those watches the same way every single time. I always look for the same stuff in the same way. I'm always doing the split time. I don't know. I'll look into it. I haven't ever noticed that before. I'm not going to say, no, that's not possible, because I haven't 100% guaranteed ruled that out.
I just don't see how the manual can say one thing and you say something else.
Well, it's just because I've never experienced anything else. All the timekeeping, the circuit of the timekeeping, and the calendar stuff is all run by the same thing. Everything in those watches is run in the same way. There's no... I don't know. I'm curious. I'll have to check it out.
Dr. Tixon, Uncle Dick's Omega 321, it's just beautiful. Do you have any comments about the 321 movement? I have an Omega Speedmaster 10501-265 with the 321 movement from 1966. Wow. Same reference worn by Armstrong and Aldrin on Apollo 11. I always heard that it was a famous movement, but never heard anyone say if the movement is difficult to service.
No, the movement isn't difficult to service. It's a standard Swiss style chronograph, which is that you've got basically a big three-handed movement type chugging along in there, and that it pulls power off of that to run minute counters, and then you've got on the other side you've got a 12-hour counter that runs off the bottom of the mainspring. I'm just going off memory here, but no, they're a good movement. They have one of the things is they have their balance has a fixed stud, so you can't adjust out beat error very easily. You actually have to go in and turn the collet. It's a pain in the butt, and it uses timing screws. You don't really have to mess too much with the timing screws because they're built, the balances are built correctly. But it, if you had to get into that kind of fine watch work, that old school stuff dealing with timing screws and moving hair collets and stuff like that, it's a little. The last time I was working on it, I just was pretty nervous because I didn't want to jack up the balance. The balances are really expensive. A replacement balance is like $500 or $600, and that was a long time ago. The biggest problem I actually had though with Uncle Dick's watch is trying to get it cased. The casing isn't particularly sturdy. I'm so spoiled. We're so spoiled when it comes to Seiko, because Seiko's casing is so good. It is so amazingly good. They think about everything. The movements are held sturdily, but it's not difficult to take apart. It's one of Seiko's best applications of holding things together with spring power. Whereas the Omega is like one of these things where it's a Swiss style where everything's all screwed together. And the case is sort of lightly built, and it got bumped. I mean, Uncle Dick, literally when I got the watch, it had blood on it. I have no idea what he did. It had bent lugs and blood on it. I had to clean his blood. I'm assuming it was his blood, not somebody else's, unless he had a busy Saturday night. The casing was the problem more than the movement. But speaking of Uncle Dick, I actually make, if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, I actually have a little thing about Uncle Dick and also his watch, which I can show. I was going to make it as a separate video, but I figure I'll just throw those segments in here and then people can do this. So if you care about Uncle Dick, want to hear about his watch, great. If you're not concerned about this, you can jump over this to the next bit. That is my great Uncle Dick. There he is. And that is with his best friend towards the end of his life. I'm sorry, I don't remember his goose's name, but that was she was one of his best friends towards the end of his life. I look at this picture; he looks so much like my granddad. He looks so much like my granddad. I'd love to be able to talk to him again. Anyway, there he is. There's Uncle Dick. So I dug through all my stuff and I found pictures of Uncle Dick's watches. I got 2 watches from my great Uncle Dick. I got this. It's a 1962 Omega Speedmaster chronograph with the Omega 321. This is the same movement that went up in the moon watches and stuff. This is what it looked like when I got it. You can see, if you look, this lug is bent inwards like a lot. The bottom one is a little bit too. We're missing a button. This stuff on here, this stuff was blood. I swear to God it was. It was in rough condition. I wish I'd kept the lume on this hand, but I hated the way that the metal looked. It was just so scritched up and banged up and gross looking. I don't know. The nice thing about what I have now is because I put that's the original handset. And I did no. I never did. I have this original handset. I put on a different Omega handset that I painted blue. This handset I still have. That's a pretty cool picture, isn't it? Anyway, there's that. Here's his Rolex Explorer. This is exactly as it came. This is what it looked like when it got to me. He let this thing get completely flooded, and it destroyed the dial entirely. That's what I found when I opened the back of it. I got most of this watch running. Most of the moving parts I did not. Wheels and stuff like that I didn't save, but all the plates are original. I've got the original movement number in there with its original serial and all that other stuff. It had a lot of rust. It had a lot of rust. There's the dial. After I had sort of tried to get it sat down a little bit and so much of it was coming off. There I am. I pulled it in pieces, and that is what it looked like when I was done with it at that time. I've since redone the loom on the original hands to be a little whiter, but I think that came out pretty well. Still have it in my box, one of my favorite watches. That looks a lot better than that. Wish I had that dial. Okay. Well, I do have the dial, it's just ruined. And here they are. I went off and got them. So yes, it's a genuine, okay. It's a genuine Omega hand set, but they're later stick hands, not the Dauphine hands that this model originally had. The original hands for these I had boxed away. And so these are genuine silver steel Omega hands that I coated with a thinned out midnight blue that I did with a semi-translucent to give it sort of a gun-blued feeling to it. Sabrina likes the way it looks. The old original hands, which I have, they were just jacked up. Anyway, I actually got around to straightening out that bent up lug. There was a huge chip on the outside face here. This looks okay. I kind of cleaned it up, but it thinned out the lug some. Yeah, it's a pop-off back. It's not even a screw down. So it's just, in terms of casing, it's just lightly built. And there's Uncle Dick's Rolex Explorer 1016. This is from 1966. That's from 1962, I believe. I have a picture of him at Christmas wearing this watch. I think it was a Christmas watch, Christmas present. Anyway, there's his old 1016. And, you know, the dial is a reprint. They did a decent job on it. It's an original dial that was reprinted. It's the original handset. It's the original movement. All of the movement parts I replaced are genuine Rolex parts. So it's as original as I could keep it. It's a nice watch. It's a nice watch.
Jeff Earp. I still have the black dial version of this watch, Seiko 57178990 one-button chronograph. I purchased in 1967 when I was in Southeast Asia. It still runs. No doubt it could use a good servicing.
You are, without a doubt, you're two things. You're the first original owner of one of these I've ever spoken with that I can remember. Two, you're the only one where it had history, I'm assuming, in the military in Southeast Asia. Those are some pretty wild things. I'd love to see your watch. If you want to write me at kvw@kleinvintagewatch.com.
Klein Vintage Watch Repair.
Oh, doesn't Klein Vintage Watch work? It doesn't work?
Doesn't.
Really? kvw@kleinvintagewatchrepair.com.
It's a long, stupid, not really, it's just a stupid story.
Anyway, email me if you feel like it, and maybe we can get you on the wait list and get you all set up and get you a slot in here, because that's a kind of watch with, you know, ostensibly military history, original owner history. It's a rare model. I haven't seen, that'd be cool. Write me an email and let's talk.
4mm Seiko 6139 6005 Blue Pogue Restoration. East Bay Golfer. I really enjoy your videos. You started out with lower than desired amplitude and then did something to raise from 211 to 240, but either I missed it or you didn't reveal what you did. I often see lower than desired amplitude, especially with Seiko, and would be very interested to see and learn what you do to increase it.
Well, if you're talking about during the course of a restoration video, when I first start out, the numbers are going to be the numbers like literally I will have just dropped the balance. So you're seeing the movement hasn't woken up at all. The oils haven't gotten where they're supposed to go. It's just trying to clear its throat and shake the cobwebs out. You let it run, and those numbers are going to rise, assuming that the lubrication's been done correctly. You have to make sure. One of the biggest things I've found with Seiko is that they tend to have their mainsprings are not super powerful. I personally believe that Seiko put in lighter power than necessary than they could have in order to get a longer power reserve at the expense of amplitude. It just, Seiko's Sua, like the Sua 6000 series Seikos, they just don't run hot. They just don't want to run hot. The Dyni 7000 series, they have no problem running at like 260, 270, 280. Fully serviced, not a problem. They've got a fine mainspring for that with little wheels and a little balance, and it can slam along at a decent amplitude. But the 6000 series, they just don't. But I've been able to get seemingly pretty good accuracy and great power reserve out of them with the lower amplitudes that we observe. Big thing is just to make sure, I think one of the biggest things, the biggest changes, is make sure that the mainspring is clean and that it's ever so slightly lubricated along its length, and that you're using the proper braking grease. I use S2 braking grease. I wipe an extremely light coating of 8200 oil on the mainspring itself, and I clean off all the excess just so it has a sheen, a film of oil along the entire mainspring itself. And that, because the mainspring is having to slide along itself, it just doesn't open smoothly. It's actually the metal are sliding along each other, and you want to make that so it's smooth. You get smooth power release rather than sort of jerking as the mainspring kind of unwinds through being tight. Those are the things that I do. So hopefully that's helpful.
How I clean and recondition old leather straps. Fawn of on film. Leather is acidic as I understand it. Soap is a base. Some claim that soap ruins the leather for that reason and should be avoided. Not necessarily visibly so, but structurally somehow. How do you evaluate that line of thinking?
Well, firstly, I don't know that leather is acidic. I don't, that could well be. I have no idea.
I kind of remember at some point reading somewhere that you can't use soap on leather.
Well, then of course you have things like saddle soap, which is a soap, but it's got lots of conditioners in it.
Right.
So it could be that I'm weakening the leather. It wouldn't.
Time to get some saddle soap. Time to go to the farm store.
Well, but part of my process is, okay, so fine, we're using a base on something that's acidic, and so you're going to have a sort of a neutralization process. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But then also, part of my process for cleaning these straps is while they're still wet, I slather them in this leather care product called Picard's, which is neutral pH. And that Picard's is sucked into the leather as the moisture evaporates away. It takes a few days. But then when you're done, the straps come out feeling wonderfully moisturized. I haven't noticed any physical deterioration of the leather doing this. But, I mean, how much heavy duty wear do I put any single leather strap to? And plus, a lot of the straps I'm washing, how would I tell they were damaged? Because a lot of them were old and dirty anyway. And they would have been, damaged from that. It's hard to say. I think for the purposes of watch straps, I'm not going to do too much damage. If I was, if I had a piece of really serious historical leather gear that I needed to preserve the leather, I would not use soap on it. That I would do as little as I had to do in order to preserve the leather. But I guess for watch straps, because my focus is on wearing and using them, not trying to preserve them in an archival way, that, whatever makes them more usable works.
Well, what I want to do is get the saddle soap, because I like going to the farm store, have a strap and do half of it in your way and half of it with the saddle soap and see what happens.
That's a great idea. You know, also we've got lots of leather scraps, old
yeah.
leather scraps too. In fact, I've got some old military leather scraps, and we could cut samples, and we could do saddle soap, and we could do my method, just like you said. And I think that would be a pretty cool idea. We can dig up. I've got all kinds of chunks of leather.
Time to go to Jack's.
Okay, so we'll make a note, and we'll do a future leather experiment. I think that's a good idea.
KVW's overdue review, the Seiko J13085 50 meters Seiko-matic week dater. John Boy of Alaska 4182.
Hello, Mr. Boyarski.
S&S, quick question. Where do you source click balls and springs for bezels? I've got an SKX031, but it's the same setup as a 6105 Willard and some 6309s. Mine gave up to old man rust. Seiko part 8999-9900 or 8999-9903 and spring 81350180.
Okay, well, this is one of those things where people are just going to slap their foreheads. I should have all this information on this stuff, all these parts. But a large part of what I do and how I do is making do with what I've got. So I'm always trying to come up with solutions to problems with what I have to hand. And when I come up with a local solution that works, I tend to stick with it. I don't throw away anything, even all kinds of crazy stuff like damaged spring bars. There are a lot of fine little spring bars that have little springs inside them that are the right diameter. You can just cut down the length and that'll give you a nice section of spring for the thing that you got in there. As for the click balls, I rob the ball out of a ballpoint pen. It's an old technique. I learned it from the old guys on the old forum back in the day because you couldn't find these parts. I've never actually, I don't think I've ever seen an original NOS replacement Seiko click ball in the package. I don't think I ever have. So I use these click balls in the pens, works great. And then I have little spring sections and they all really work really well together. The only thing I wish I could do that I can't is to recrimp the hole to hold that click ball back in. The only thing about the click ball that I hesitate about is that those click balls are not those balls from the ballpoint pens, they're not steel, they're tungsten. And so they're way harder than the rotating rings, which are just going to be stainless steel, which means if you use the ball a lot, what's wearing is the ring, not the ball. So that's something to consider. Thankfully, it doesn't come up too often. And if you're a serious purist and you want to be all Seiko, you have to work with Mr. Boyarski to get that information because I don't have it.
For JK, Seiko H558 5009 Arnie restoration. Mamoodles. Hello, Spencer. I have been a quiet admirer of your channel for a while now.
Well, thank you.
So much so I am really wanting to buy my own 7548. I was wondering if you had any suggestions on where to look to buy them and what I should look out for when perusing different options online, like on eBay. Apologies if the comment section is not the appropriate place to communicate. Would love to know your thoughts if you have the spare time. Thank you for all of your cool videos.
Well, thank you for watching. It's super easy, actually. And I just, unrelated to you asking this question, I happen to be looking at 7548s like last week. What you do is you go to Buyee, which is BUYEE.jp, Buyee Japan, okay? And then they have an English language service, and this allows you to bid on Yahoo Japan auctions. You can go to Yahoo Japan auctions, type in Seiko 7548, and look at what comes up. They have very good original 7548s in good condition. I mean, like I was looking at some that were like, they were nice. They were nice. I mean, sure, they showed a little bit of wear, but they had white loom and they were completely original with good rotating rings. I was looking because what I wanted actually was just a rotating ring. And I was like, well, I'll look for a 7548 that suffered like major water intrusion, like destroyed the inside. Maybe I can get the case and everything for a little bit less and I won't have to worry about keeping it together and I'll have a rotating ring because I want to build myself a 6309 because I don't have one. And I've got everything. I've got all the parts to build a 6309. I don't have a good rotating ring. But I looked, I didn't find one. There were a lot of 7548s, but none that I would even begin to consider sacrificing for parts. And they seem to sell in open bidding for $200 or $300 for a good 7548. And shipping to the US is $30. I think the only thing you need to worry about now is like tariffs. That's the only thing. I haven't tried to buy anything from there since tariffs, but you know, the only other option is if you want to stay in the country, go to eBay, search Seiko 7548, search to, and limit your search to United States of America, and just look for ones that are, as best as you can tell, original. If you're bored, you can always run a listing by me and I'll look at it for you. Just email me at kvw@kleinvintagewatchrepair.com. Send me a listing and I'll look at it.
Dambroski. After a long hunt, I bought this watch in new condition, but unfortunately without a shroud. So I bought a new aftermarket shroud from Pennsylvania, and with shipping to Europe, I paid almost $100. And I have to ask if I did it right, what you people think about non-original shrouds. They are a no-go, and I should continue hunting for the original one to not feel like I am pretending to have an original watch. Or are these okay thing to do and not a big deal to have one installed instead of the original one? I have many old Seikos and all of them are in very good condition and 100% original. And this aftermarket shroud makes me feel as a sinner. What is your opinion about aftermarket new shroud on NOS Arnie?
The problem is that there are no decent replacement made. So what are you going to do? So if your shroud is broken, because it's a materials failure on the part of Seiko, because the plastic that they made that from was kind of bendy, wiggly, and you didn't have to worry about it. Over all these years, it's turned into this brittle plastic stuff, and it'll literally just snap. You're bending it and it's just gone. It's broken. There are excellent aftermarkets that are made. There are some okay aftermarkets that are made. There's an aftermarket that looks a little off, but it's made of anodized black metal and it fits beautifully and it gives some real weight to the watch. You've got the watch itself. That's the thing that matters. You're not having an intact shroud is a nice thing. And I understand the feeling of wanting to have the watch be 100% original and complete. Get the best aftermarket you can get your hands on and be happy with it and keep your eye out for a replacement shroud. Look for other Arnies. Look for an Arnie that's suffered, a massive internal water leak. It's not like they don't exist.
Yeah, and just because you have the part on it now doesn't mean you can't change it later if you find one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is you're upgrading and you get the best that you have right now and you continue to upgrade and then you'll find the right part eventually. It's just you're limited by the materials available to you.
Dayhan9318. Hey Spencer, do you ever relume the hands? I very much appreciate your desire to keep the watch as original as possible.
In this particular case, this was this gentleman's original watch. And he'd had it forever and it had suffered some moisture intrusion and the loom on the hands was pretty blackened. He wanted it left original. It was his watch from new, which is cool. If it were my watch, I would have been really tempted. That loom is a little too damaged for me. And I would have been really tempted in that case because the metal of the hand was good to reloom those hands and to really improve the look of the watch. I just have to be careful. I'm always nervous about relooming even damaged original loom because as hard as I try, it's difficult to get the look of reloomed hands get the loom to look exactly as it should. It's got to be really fine grained and extremely flat and below the surface of the metal. Like you can actually, the metal of the hands around the window, right? So you have your loom window like this, right? And there's your hand. The hand metal is up above, the loom is below it like this. It's kind of like stepped. And if you have the wrong mix or it's too thin or you haven't ground down the pigments enough, you can get it to the point where it fills the whole thing right up to the top. And Seiko mostly didn't do that. And so nothing's worse than trying to correct something that's original and making it look worse simultaneously. It all depends. I'm super picky with how my stuff looks.
4RL Seiko 7828704 restoration. Nielsen Gupta.
Hello, Neil.
Hi S&S, great to see this 7A being done as mine has gone in for servicing. My 2 questions for mail call are as follows. 1, how do you clean the circuit board?
Usually the circuit board is you just get a little a cotton Q-tip and a little bit of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and just clean off those contacts. That's usually more than enough to do a great job.
2, what do you do with the 4 coils once you take them out?
I put them very carefully on a little dish that is then covered, and I take them out in order, and I place them in the same orientation in that dish as they go in the watch, so they stay in the same round order, 1, 2, 3, with a 4th one over here, and then I just reverse that when they come in.
Okay. Looking at 6309 diver crowns. Joseph Stewart. Hi SNS. Quick question for next mail call. My recently acquired 6306 from July 1977 has returned from the watchmaker after its first ever overhaul. He was able to install the upper and lower arbor jewels also, which was a great bonus. The watch is in overall amazing condition. However, the crown is in need of attention. It appears to have come apart. The outer shell of the crown has separated from the inner housing of the crown, which screws down to the case. The threading on the inner housing section of the crown seems to be good with plenty of thread. Is there any way to repair the crown? Is it as simple as removing the crown from the case and getting some sort of adhesive in between the loose sections and clamping it, or am I just up for a new crown altogether?
Okay, so the way that these things are constructed is you have to basically imagine the crown as being a hollow metal tube, okay? And then you have the threaded section that screws onto the crown tube of the watch. It's inside the crown. It's a ring with a threaded section, so the inner surface of which is threaded. So you take that ring with the threaded section, you put it inside the hollow tube, and then you crimp it over, and that holds it in place, and it stops. It locks them together in theory so that ring turns with the crown itself. What can happen is it gets loose, and then you're turning the metal of the outside crown, the hollow tube, and the threaded ring side inside is just spinning on its own. When I've dealt with that in the past, glue's not really going to do it. I mean, you could try running a bunch of adhesive in there, but adhesive does not like sticking to metal. Also, those crowns have had a lot of silicone grease that's in there, and that will have gotten everywhere, which will prevent glue from binding. What I have done in the past is gone from the outside, so you have here's my whole hand is the crown. This is the outside of the crown sticking away from the watch. This is the inside of the crown where it would screw up against the case right here. And the ring is right inside here. I get a really fine, super fine punch, needle punch basically, and I put in divots. Ding, 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 and I put in 4 to hold it in place. The other thing you need to do is that ring sits in kind of a channel. You can try to squish that back down, but I haven't had that much luck. I've had to do what I just described to you. It works. I did it in a few minutes. You just get it to hold in and then try not to lean on it.
XYZ chain 4199. For next Friday mail call. I want a tuna can 7C46 for a good price. I believe in good condition scratch-wise, but it's missing both the screws and the shroud. The screws are an easy matter since I found them going for £6 a pop on Cousins UK. The shroud, on the other hand, though, is another story. $250 for a shroud isn't ideal in every sense, since this will be part of my everyday watch fleet. So I searched a bit deeper and found a seller on AliExpress selling clones for $40 each with a couple of different finishes. What's your thoughts on that, and would you recommend it for a daily wearer watch?
Yeah, sure. As a daily wearer watch, whoo, you betcha, absolutely. They're a tough watch. 7C46 600 meter diver. Seiko's been making the 7C46 movement for almost 40 years. They started producing them in 1986. So it has been, they're good watches. For AliExpress, if the shrouds are made, the originals were made, which is ceramic coated, then sure, what the heck? Even if they look right, I mean, what the heck? Why not? I have a golden tuna shroud, which I have an extra one. I have no idea what I need to get for it. And it's pretty beaten up. So it's kind of these things. It's like, would you want to spend a ton of money on a sort of a beaten up original part, or have one that looks good that's maybe, if it's correct enough, you'll be able to wear it and then it won't even matter. If it gets bonked up or anything else like that, because you're wearing it every day. I don't know. $250 honestly, for a golden tuna bezel, that doesn't sound that bad to me. If it's a nice thing and you wanted it to be like, original. But if the AliExpress one is good, give it a whirl. $40, what's the worst that can happen?
4BS Seiko 7549 7009 restoration. Ross Duggan. Sir, you always look for a mark to see if it has been serviced. Do you write something down in the watch when you go through one?
Every single time. I always mark. And I always look for a mark because I'm always curious about the history of a watch. I'm always curious to see if there's any answers to any mysteries inside the case back. Most of the time in servicing marks, they're not really going to tell me anything. Sometimes they're dated. I always hope sometimes I'm going to find something that's like a Seiko part number. Like, oh, I replaced 888612. I'll be like, oh, well, there you go. Got a new chronograph wheel in this thing. That doesn't happen very often. I make my own mark. I use a special ink stamp suitable for metal. I made it in the same size as Seiko's servicing stamps, but it's my own logo. And I stamp that in the back. And then using a fine scribe, I date when I did my work. So anybody who looks inside one of those watches that I worked on will see my logo and my date saying I worked on this watch. And, rightly or wrongly, whatever's right or wrong with the watch, it's my fault. That's about it. Do we have anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. Sorry it's been 4 weeks again, but, we got one out today.
Mm-hmm.
We got one out today.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, Sebastian could be disappointed about the nice weather this weekend, but nothing we can do about it. Okay. Thank you, folks. Please keep those questions coming. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, it doesn't cost you anything. Helps us out a lot. We want to keep making videos and all that stuff. And what are you making faces for?
Nothing.